There's going to be turbulence. You've already seen it in the market. It's been a little bit of a slip from this high mark earlier this year. And I think what the president's attempted to do is say we all learned during the COVID crisis that we're too reliant on foreign markets. We want to bring some of those jobs back. We also, of course, want to offer create the middle class once again. Those are manufacturing jobs can do. But I think that challenge is there. Our Secretary of the Treasury has talked about making that transition, as you put it perfectly. I think you're going to see some challenges over the next few months. But one of the ways we do that is to reduce government spending so that people have more money in their own pockets to make those capital decisions, as opposed to let's just say, the government making some of those big decisions.
So what do you think is as Congress comes back here, what do you think is the to-do list for Congress these days from your perspective?
Well, I think the great news, first of all, let's talk about the good news and then the challenges. First and foremost, we realized that the border crisis was simply enforcing the laws. We've reduced the border crisis by 98%. And I like the idea that means we can actually maybe make some changes in the immigration law. There's some folks we need to bring in for what would be seasonal workers in agriculture, like my state of Florida, let alone people working in hotels, restaurants that are needed. Some Americans just don't want to do those jobs. That said, I think the bad news is there's going to be challenges because the president is saying we want reciprocal tariffs. Why are we still treating other nations like it's 1945 instead of 2025? These nations are up on their own feet right now. The EU economy is almost the size of the United States. We want to be treated fairly, whether it be on autos or food. And I think that's a common sense approach, that we get treated fairly, especially how generous we are around the world, whether it be our support in the Ukraine or, of course, whenever there's a crisis overseas, we always step up. That said, I think that the challenge is can we actually reduce spending, or at least focus on things that really matter? And I think one of the things that we're most focused on is how do we protect something that people have earned, Social Security and Medicare, and how do we also reform a program like Medicaid? I know it sounds great, but remember, Medicaid is welfare health care, and these folks pay nothing into the system, but we want to protect those folks on Medicaid who are disabled or in a nursing home. But folks who are able-bodied, they need to get into this economy and contribute, because we're all paying a little bit artificially higher let's just say insurance rates for healthcare, because 1/3 of the population is getting free healthcare. There's going to be a cost shift when that takes place.
How do people in Congress like yourself look at DOGE and Elon Musk? I mean, you guys have spent your whole career getting to Congress. You guys are the bomb. Now you got this dude coming in. Who elected him to anything? How do you guys think about that in Congress, about encroaching upon you?
Based on your question, I might be the anomaly. I love what they're doing. Here's why. When I was leader of the Senate, we literally put everything online, from what we took in to what we spent to the people who got the contracts. I wanted to have that transparency. We are the sunshine state on legislation. I think the same should hold true for spending. It shouldn't just be Elon Musk. It should be all of us looking at where this money is spent. Every one of us works hard at this table to earn those dollars. The government should think as strongly about that same position. When you see them spending some money, and let's just say some dubious programs to be generous, you're wondering, is that really the best use of our dollars? You brought up the question of Medicaid. I think it's a legitimate issue. Those people who are on it, a lot of them desperately need it because there's no other way. When you take money into, let's just call them not such great programs, and you take away from needed programs, and you undercut the confidence in the government. So I think DOGE is a smart way to make people think. When my wife says, hey, let's look at our credit card bill, I know I'm only spending on my credit card bill. Really? I should be spending on not some extra items. I think that transparency is essential to gain trust in the government, which is so lacking today. And as far as your question, the political question, look, I'm a former state legislator. I hated it when this federal government told me, the little brother to the big brother, hey, you got to do it this way. I think that all of us who came to the state legislature, remember, we didn't like it when big Washington told us what to do. We should not be hypocrites when we have that opportunity in Washington. Let's have those block grants back to the states. They're smart folks. They can make good decisions on healthcare, education, transportation, the environment. They don't have to cycle it through Washington to get the A-OK.